Many habits nowadays are not included in the Quran. For example, smoking. How do we assure or ascertain whether they're halal or haram? Well, from Islamic law, we have the principle of qiyas, that is analogy, analysis and giving rulings by way of analogy, which allows us to carry rulings from what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has addressed to things that he has not. So, for example, smoking, and I guess this is an important point because, you know, I think there's probably a lot of smokers out there in the audience. Muslims today tend to be some of the biggest smokers. You know, smoking has gone down in the West due to them being forced to put on the packets that it's dangerous to health, and you know, many campaigns against smoking. So it has reduced, it has declined in the West, smoking. But in Muslim lands, it has risen tremendously. The fact of the matter is that the argument used by most people, it's makrooh, disliked. This is an Islamic ruling, makrooh, meaning disliked. Meaning, if you didn't do it, you would be rewarded by Allah. But if you did it, there's no sin on you. Now, this ruling of makrooh was made about 500 years ago, when tobacco first came to the Muslim world. It came to the Ottoman Empire, right? And people started using it. In fact, it was the Ottomans who developed cigarettes. The paper cigarette, rolling it, the Ottomans, Muslims developed it. Didn't know that, did you? Because before that, people smoked in pipes. Yeah? At any rate, the scholars in Turkey and elsewhere had to analyze this and give a ruling on it. And their ruling was that it was makrooh based on the effects that they could observe. They found that the main harm when a person smoked cigarettes is that it produced a bad breath. We know the smoker's breath. They have all kinds of things you can buy, sprays, etc. for people who smoke. Bad breath. So they looked back in the Sharia to see, in what was revealed law, to see what was the ruling on things which cause bad breath. And we know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said that whoever eats raw onion and garlic should not come to our masjids. Then they took the similar ruling to smoking, which caused the bad breath. Okay, similarly, makrooh. However, since, you know, the 15th century, we have had changes in our knowledge concerning smoking. In 1979, the Surgeon General of the United States of America announced to America and the world that it was conclusively proven that smoking causes cancer. Now, this has been something which had been debated for some 20 years before that. They were analyzing the results, and, you know, you had doctors saying, yes, smoking is causing cancer. We can see the evidence, statistical evidence, etc. And then the doctors who were paid by the tobacco companies, they were saying, no, it's not really, it's, you know, these statistics are questionable, and so and so. But finally, by 1979, the evidence was so overwhelming that the Surgeon General announced that it causes cancer without a shadow of a doubt. And they forced all of the cigarette companies to put on every box, smoking is dangerous to health. Right? And believe that those cigarette companies didn't put it on the boxes, you know, out of concern for the general health of the population. They were putting it because they were forced. And this is big business. America is only doing that because of the overall harm to the population. So, once we know now that smoking causes cancer, we have to look for a different ruling. Cancer, we know, causes death. People die from cancer. And there are hundreds of thousands dying every year from cancer caused by smoking. And the ruling in Islamic law in this regard is haram. Whatever will kill you is haram for you to take, knowing that it will kill you. To take poison, to drink it, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever kills himself in this life will find himself killing himself in the same way perpetually in the hellfire. Suicide is haram, forbidden. And when a person takes cigarettes, is smoking, he is committing suicide, slowly but surely. Because it doesn't make any difference whether I take a small glass of poison and drink sips of it, and after 1 year I drop down dead, or I take the full glass and drink it right now and die. Both ways, it is suicide and forbidden. So the correct ruling on smoking today is that it is haram, forbidden. I know some people will come back with the argument. I got the T sign, I'll just close off the argument here. Some people come back saying, well, there are people who smoke and don't die. You know, yes, the oldest woman in China, she smokes a cigar every day and she's been doing it for the last 30, 40 years of her life. Yes, see, it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily die. But you see, Islamic law, it governs the general. And common sense tells you, you must follow what is the general ruling concerning things. For example, there are people who have fallen out of airplanes 40 and 50,000 feet and have got up and walked away. This happens. So now what do? When you jump out of an airplane, you're going to not take a parachute with you saying, oh, there are people who, you know, they've gotten up from it. I'll jump out the airplane without the parachute. Allah will protect me. No, this is nonsense. You take your parachute because you don't use the exception to judge the danger of a given situation. Similarly, those few people who don't die though they smoked all their lives, these are exceptions. Allah has left them as signs to us that ultimately life and death is in His hands. These are the signs. But we are required to follow the general circumstance, not the exception. Most people who smoke get cancer and die. The Marlboro man, remember the Marlboro man? Riding on his horse with his jeans and his cap, you know, rugged with that cigarette in his mouth. For many years the Marlboro man was, you know, the big symbol, smoking symbol. Well, his wife is now suing Marlboro for her husband dying of cancer. Inshallah, we'll see you in the coming sessions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.